Station.
Come on, IG. Let's do it. Hey.
Oh, what up?
What's up, bro?
Shit. I'm trying to get my coffee. What's going on?
Not much, man. Same old. How you like your coffee?
You know what? It depends. It depends. I'm not. Sometimes I'll drink it black, but I'm never too heavy on the cream or sugar. I'm like one cream, one sugar. I just need sometimes I like black coffee, but other times I just need a little spruce, just to give a little bit of razzle dazzle.
Same.
But
Yeah, I'm a cream and sugar. I gotta have cream and sugar. We got there used to be a good one that I forget who made it, but it was like Cold Stone Creamery's sweet cream, and it was like all you had to do was pour that into the cup of coffee, and it was good. Like,
sugar.
yeah. You needed nothing else. What's up, Mr. Anthropic? Brother Joe in the chat. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Welcome
Yo,
to episode 5 of Supreme Clientele with Stu and Lynk. I figured we'd do a official intro. Yeah, man, 5. I can't believe 5 episodes are already under our belt. That's pretty crazy.
yeah, it's flown by. It's definitely flown by. Yeah, it's still like we're in like our second, third week almost. But I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
5 and 3.
Yeah.
By the way,
No,
I'm
dude.
lagging.
Do what?
Lagging.
Nah, you're fine with me, man. IG's weird with the audio, but other than that, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I was gonna say, I didn't realize that I was doing like some bad dubbing type of stuff. I was like, I will find your master. I wanted to make sure it's not going on this week. So, but if it is, it is.
Oh, man, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I love it, dude. The old Kung Fu dub. There's nothing worse than the old Kung Fu dub on the live vid. Brother Joe says, I'm not a coffee man, but throw in some Kahlua and I'm good to go. Amen, Brother Joe. Man, give me that Irish coffee all day, bro. Yeah, absolutely. Shaolin Cinema sounds exactly Mr. Anthropic. All right. So how's your week been, man? Anything crazy going on?
No. It's been pretty chill, to be honest. It's the kid's with his mom this week, so had a lot of free time. Been reading a lot.
Nice.
More so than usual. That's not much, but I have increased my reading, so it's been good. Nothing crazy, but it's been a good week.
Nice, bro. The even weeks are always good. It's been good, man. Really can't believe that summer's almost over, honestly. It's kind of crazy that we got like more or less 3 weeks left. It's flown by.
Yeah.
But it's been good. It's been cool here this week, which has been a nice change of pace from last week. Last week, humanity was like choking. We really didn't go out much, and that it's not good for the kids because they can't go outside, and that's never fun with all that bottled up energy. But this week it's been cooler, so it's been nice here, man. We've been outside. It's got back on track with like exercise and stuff like that. So it's been a good week. I gotta say, it's like I said, it's crazy that everything's going to change again in like another month or so. I'm really not ready for that. But yeah, other than
Summer, always.
Yeah,
Never long enough. I feel like I was just like, man, I can't wait for the summer because it was cold as shit, and now it's like summer's almost gone, and it's back to the coldness. But it's all right.
I don't know how it's been in your neck of the woods. The heat's been on and off here. Like usually our summers are like nothing to like laugh at, but here we've had a couple hot spots here, and like besides that light week we had last week where it was super humid and super hot, it hasn't been like too bad of a summer heat wise, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're like up in Michigan, but no.
No, it hasn't been honestly too bad compared. Like the last few summers, I know like a few years ago, like the heat was terrible. I want to say even 2021 was really bad, but it was fair. It was decent here. There was some hot spots, but it was nothing unbearable. Where I'm not really go outside when it's super hot, anyways. But it's,
I feel you. I'm warm blooded. Like I sweat peeling an orange, so I'm built for the cold, like definitely. So yeah, I don't know. But then that said, there's been like areas in Arizona that have had what, like over a month of 110-degree plus weather. I mean, it's been crazy in some spots. So I feel blessed to kind of like avoid that. What up,
Yeah.
Shadow? What up to E in the chat? Appreciate y'all for coming through this evening. Hope everybody's doing well. But yeah, man, I don't know. Other than that, things have been good. Summer's wrapping up. Got a birthday around the corner on the 13th. I think we're gonna go to Busch Gardens for that, so I'm excited.
Nice.
Busch Gardens, yeah. Busch Gardens, Williamsburg is a theme park, amusement park right around the corner from us, about 30 minutes away. And like that's been my childhood one growing up, so I think we might do that as a family for the birthday party. I'm excited for that.
Hell yeah. Man, I haven't been to a theme park in so long. I'm low key jealous. I'm jealous. God damn it.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. That one has I don't know if like any old theme park would be great, but that one has the nostalgia attached, and so that's almost like a special trip. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I would
especially
love
seeing
to
them,
take.
like the kids on the rides you rode as a kid. That's always like a trippy experience. But, yeah.
No, I agree.
All right, so let's get into it, man. Would you got a book you want to start with? I thought maybe we could start it off with Hulk, since we're only
Hulk, good choice.
issues in. I'll let you take it away, man. How you feel about the book so far?
I'm really digging it, man. Like, I'll be honest, I've never really read too much Hulk in the past. I picked up a few issues here and there in the early aughts. Read a decent amount. Like, I think Planet Hulk was my jumping on point, then it might get to World War Hulk, that era. And I kind of fell off of Hulk again when Loeb came on with Red Hulk. I gave it like 3 issues, and I was just like, it's not my thing. So, you know, my relationship with Hulk is not too strong. I'm familiar with him, of course, but I'd say my largest collection of Hulk is the Immortal Hulk by Ewing. And, you know, that was a cool... I've seen horror elements before, and I've been heard of horror elements of the Hulk book before. But that was like my first foray into like a horror Hulk book, and you know all that to say is that this ties into this book because I'm really digging like the horror vibes, bro. Like I've never, you know, it was genuinely creepy this issue. Like it gave me like Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes and shit like that, and I was just like I found it interesting. I was like, I think with not Kate's. But Ewing's Hulk, it was more like the look, the feel, well, not necessarily feel, but just the monstrosity of the creatures and shit.
Yeah.
There's like a genuine vibe of horror tinged throughout these first 2 issues, and I'm really, really digging it, and I want to see where it goes. So I've been really impressed, I gotta say. I didn't think I would, but I have been. Really liking it.
Yeah, I completely agree, dude. Like we just Hulk letting him die there at the end of the 2nd issue. Like, just die, Banner. Like, right. And, like, the way that whole, the panels were done on the sacrificial table and the blood spilling out, and then those, like, weird green, yellow eyes when the Hulk was coming out. And the whole time the girl was, like, beckoning him to come out, like, on the sideline. Man, so well done. I was really impressed at that, like, whole interaction and that way to end the issue. So, Philip Kennedy Johnson has been one of my favorite writers here since the Action Comics stuff. I don't know if you're familiar, but I definitely recommend you check that out. I know, you know, he's still on it, obviously, and currently, and he's taking over on, he's doing the Green Lantern thing, but I just like the guy personally, from what I've heard on he's doing John Stewart, dude. He's writing John Stewart. Yeah. So it was going to be a backup in Jeremy Adams' Hal Jordan book, but they decided to give him his own book, which I think is a great thought. Yeah. So I don't know if that's I don't think that's on the strength of like anything in particular other than him just being a great writer. So yeah, I'd love to see where that goes. But
sorry. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, oddly enough, I collected a lot of PKJ's action. I think was he writing both Superman and Action at first when he Future State?
That's a good question, dude. I don't know. It was right around the Future State time. Yeah, I know he does have some Future State like book, so he very well may have been, because I know there's other stuff besides the War World stuff that he was working on there at the beginning when he first stopped on.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, the war with Mongol. I read the Future State stuff. I read a couple issues of his action, but I got so backlogged on some stuff. I read like the first arc, I'd say, and I enjoyed it. But I know I was collecting it for a minute, so I've got at least like 4 arcs under his belt. I just got to get them out of storage. But one story I read that I did like was The Last Gods, which that was PK. Have you heard of that one?
I don't know. Like, I don't know the story arc specific. If it was on Federici's time on Action, then I read it.
Separate Black Label, like fantasy type of.
Okay, no, I have not read it then.
Yeah, that's it. I really like that one. I think he was doing once again, I have a lot of Alien stuff, but I was collecting it, but I backlogged it in some storage. But I was enjoying Aliens. I know that some people were turned off from LaRocca, his art, but I thought it was solid. I think PKJ a lot of strengths that it helped the art. If you did, because I know people think LaRocca's like a Greg Land almost at this point. I wouldn't go that far.
I disagree with that, dude. He did that Dr. Doom series with Cantwell. I thought he did an excellent job. Excellent job.
Yeah.
So, and he did that 65 issue run pretty much entirely with Matt Fraction, and that was great. Like, I don't agree with the LaRocca hate. I don't, know. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Mr. Anthropic put me on to like a whole bunch of things about Land that I did not know, and some of that stuff is wild. Like his borrowing and his more or less stealing from other artists is just like foul. And I was not aware of any of that. So if there's something going on with that, like with LaRocca, then I'll bite my tongue. But I think the guy has a solid portfolio and catalog not to be hated on. Art is not easy.
No. I think some people don't like the photorealism that like the references to that he'll make, which it doesn't bother me, but because I think he does his own favor. But Land, bro, I'll send you some screenshots after the show where Land, you can tell he was looking at an image of Ben Affleck and Ray Liotta. I was like, I'm gonna write them as characters, and Mr.
Anthropic already put me onto a bunch of like examples that was just like, I don't know.
And he's a artist. If you go back, think one thing I read in the past, not too in the past, but it was like 98. It was like the DC 1 million stuff, and it was like a Batman DC 1 million, and I think it might have been Dixon writing, but I do know it was Greg Land on art, and you couldn't even tell it was Greg Land compared to what he's evolved into. It's sad that he's a capable artist, but he's lazy.
If you're out here like tracing stuff just to be known as like a guy who makes his deadlines, come on, man. I don't know.
Right.
There's already AI programs out there for that, so I don't know. Anyway, but where were we at? I'm sorry. Let's go back. Okay, Hulk. So Philip Kennedy Johnson. I heard a interview with him on Word Balloon podcast, and he was talking about how this 13-year-old kid came up to him at, I forget, some Comic-Con, and was just telling him how he had only read like his Future State Superman stories, but that had touched him as a kid, and he started telling Philip Kennedy Johnson what Superman meant to him, and what Superman should be, and he started crying, and like Philip Kennedy Johnson found out that his parents were going through a divorce. His dad had brought him down to the con as like a let's feel better about the situation type of trip. And, like, he went around the table and hugged the kid. Like, I don't know. That story right there just made me, like, fall in love with the dude as a writer. And I got to, like, look at him. Like, he's been in the Army for a while. He's in the Army band that travels, like, the official one. Like, he's a legit musician. Yeah, dude he's an interesting character, man. Very talented dude. So,
I respect that.
He's got a 007 series as well that I've heard is pretty banger. So I gotta get to checking that out.
Yeah. Someone was saying I was watching this Film Fable show. On Sunday, I think Chris from Lost from Comics had said that like it's like something he looks forward to. Like it makes it to the top of his stack and he said he's not by any means a big James Bond fan. So I was like, that says a lot to the strengths of PKJ, bro. Like, I respect him. Yeah. I'm gonna check out more.
Like, yeah, right. You should, man. Like he's a very interesting and like an awesome individual. It seems like, and like a true artist at heart. You know what I mean? Be it like music or writing. So I'm excited to see what else he does. But he also seems like just a great individual, and I want to support people like that. But yeah, shout out to Lawson Comics. That's exactly where I remembered it from. The Fable Show. All right, let's
Chris, yeah.
Say to hi everybody in the chat before I get too backlogged here. Shout out to Paul, back-to-back issues in the house. Mike, what up, Mike? Sal, thank you for coming through. Two Gun Pedro, Art by Wolvie in the house, and Sheena. Thank y'all all for coming through and hanging out with us tonight, man. We appreciate y'all very much, honestly. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on this Wednesday night. But yeah, dude, I love the sacrifice at the end of the story. I love to see where it's going. I know we got Hulk versus Man-Thing in issue 4, which is like, dude, what else can you ask for?
Yeah.
And I love the whole Southern horror vibe, dude. But it reminds me of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, honestly. Like going through the Southern swampland, like with monsters at every I can see it going like where we have each issue is like dealing with like, and more Swamp Thing, they come up on like, some plantation that's filming some TV show and it's like a little too close to how slavery was or whatever, and like you find out it's something in the ground that's like an evil spirit that's kind of permeating out, and that all be wrapped up, like all happen and be wrapped up in one issue or 2 issues. I could see something like that happening with this run where it's like some special gothic horror episodes or story arcs, like 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. I don't know, man. I hope it goes the length that Immortal did, like the 50-some issues. And I hope that whenever it is that Nick Klein gets off art, that we have a similar substitute or somebody who can really bring it. Because I know Nick's not going to last forever, I don't know.
There was an artist he worked with, I forget his name, that he worked with during, not Donny Cates, but Scotty Young's Deadpool. But they complemented each other well. If anyone remembers in chat, but someone that, like you said, someone fitting or something new, someone visually in the same lane as him would definitely help. But I have a feeling like this is going to be like Marvel's big book. Like a year from now, this is going to be Marvel's big thing. Like if it keeps, we're only 2 issues in. I'm not too familiar with Hulk, but it's been really good from what I've read. I'd say 2 things. I like when books catch me by surprise, but 2 books that weren't on my radar, I wasn't necessarily looking forward to, are Blade and Hulk, and these are 2 books to look out for. I feel good start.
Yeah, it's like Marvel's like on the main things, like Marvel's so hit and miss, but like then they have these obscure characters like Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, like that are both McKay's writing, and then you have like these like little like not that Hulk is a fringe character by any means, but I'm just saying it's just like these kind of fringe stories or whatever are the ones that are really like moving on. I don't know. What we got? Thank goodness they're going back to horror on this Hulk run. That spaced out run was just weird, says Mike. Mike, I was just saying this, like, the first issue when we got Hulk's body transformation, like, I don't think we saw that horrific body transformation at all during Cates' run. Like, it was just, it was crazy. We had crazy Hulk in the part of the spaceship or whatever in Banner in the cockpit or whatever, but, like, just seeing that back was so refreshing. Yeah, I completely agree.
I read a little bit of the Cates. I think I read like the first 8 issues. Not recently, after the prep for because I read the first issue of this, and this was like a month ago. I read like the first 8 issues of Cates' run, and I gotta agree, it wasn't. People were like saying it was terrible, and I find it to be terrible, but it was just weird. Like Mike said, it was just it was just throwing some shit at the wall just to do it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it was a wild pitch. For sure.
Yeah, I get it because it's like, how do you try to top? You don't want to do the same thing someone's done before, but that was almost so left field. Like this should have, like I've heard people say before, but this run of the Hulk should have been the follow-up to Ewing's Immortal Hulk. When it ended a few years ago.
Yeah, and I agree, Mike. The fight between Thor and Hulk was epic, and that Hulk run with Cates and And Otley had some beautiful art, dude. And I got to shout out to Ryan Otley because he got stuck between a rock and a hard place when Donnie just kind of left him with the bag. And dude had to end up being a writer on that series and had to write the last 3 or 4 issues he wrote and had to bring it on home. So, like, shout out to him. And the art was never, like, regardless of how ridiculous or bananas the storyline was, the art was never not incredible. Like, it was always, you know, it was Otley at the top of his game. So, like, shout out to him. I feel like he kind of got the bad end of the deal on that one and just kind of had to stick it out. And people are just like, everybody's talking about this new Hulk run, but, like, you know, I don't know, man. Otley deserves some credit for you know, having to ring that thing then.
Did you hear Kate's today's? I actually found out someone sent me a link. Kate's, I guess.
I heard it on Comic Pop. I don't know if you know who Comic Pop are, but I watch them every Monday night, and Sal and Tiff talked about it on there. Go ahead, tell them what happened.
No, I just found out today that I guess he was in a really bad car accident. Like he had like some gnarly. He got really messed up, man. Like it kind of reminded me of that Chadwick Boseman situation, not to that degree, but I remember when people first saw images of Chadwick Boseman before his passing, like during the pandemic, he was really thin, and people were making jokes about him being on crack or drugs or all this other sorts of shit, and it turned out the man was dealing with something really heavy. You know, the same thing kind of applies to Donnie. Is like, you know, people were like, his girlfriend, his wife left him. I mean, some of it is true, but you know, meanwhile, he's like, he went through some serious trauma in that accident, and you know,
and
it was really bad.
I heard it from Comic Pop. He has 6 months of his memory gone, like that.
He had to relearn how to.
He has a significant block of his memory. So yeah, like, man, it just goes to show you, like, cancel culture is whack. Don't judge like, you don't want to be judged at your lowest moment. You know, we talked about this before. I think one of the things that makes us beautiful and unique as human beings is our capacity for redemption and forgiveness. And to be like out here and don't act like Donnie wasn't like the hottest thing on the block there for a minute. I don't know. I'll see all these people like pile on him when things went bad was kind of whack, dude. And, like, you know, I don't know. It just goes to show you. And there's other things at play because obviously him and his wife broke up. So there's always sides to the story that we don't know about. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Just take a minute and you know, look at it through the lens of your own life and where you were at, like, your lowest. And, you know, I don't know. Right, Mike. You never know what someone is going through, man. You don't.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I couldn't agree more, bro. Like, it's just, you know, you never know. So
yeah.
But Donnie's doing better. That's just wild because, you know, he's kind of hasn't said anything for months, and people have just been making these jokes and talking all this shit, and it's like, man went through some serious trauma, bro. Like,
yeah, bro. And bro gave us great books and has great promise as a creator, like Cosmic Ghost Rider, Baby Thanos, God Country. The first 2 arcs of Thor were great. Like, dude has immense promise as a creator. Let's not, like, throw all that. Like, let's try to help him back into that fate. Is like, you know, he had promise there and real and, like, you know, real prospects for a bright future. I want to see that again for him because I still read and love some of his books. So.
Oh, yeah, I fucks with Donny Cates all day. Like, I was fascinated with his career because no one's really done what he's did, where it's like, even like Hickman, Bendis, all the greats, the Fractions of Brewbakers, they came to Marvel, they started off with these lower end books, and they worked themselves up to these A-tier characters and wrote their legendary runs. Donny Cates came in and did like a Doctor Strange run and a Thanos run and a Cosmic Ghost Rider, unknown characters, and got handed the keys to the Marvel Kingdom. You know, like, I find that very fascinating. I've always been super interested about his
and you could see his growth. I felt like when they gave him that Doc Strange run after Jason Aaron had it, you could see he didn't know what to do with it. But you could see his growth into, like, hey, I got some of my own ideas with Cosmic Ghost Rider, and then Baby Thanos Needs to Die and all that stuff. And then the Thanos series, and then Guardians, and then he kept, you know, I don't know. And I would have loved to see him on Amazing Spider-Man. You know, that sucks that didn't come to fruition, but I'm never going to say never, and I hope that dude bounces back. And I'd love to see him with some top books again. Even the latest one, Vanish, started fire. Like, the first couple of issues, until it, like, five or six issues, like around that issue, like I thought it kind of fell apart. But the first like 2 or 3 issues were very tight, I thought. But
that's the one with Stegman. Right? Vanish, I think was South saying.
Vanished, yeah, Stegman, yeah. It's about like dark Harry Potter vibes. Yeah, it's like dark wizards. Yeah, it's cool though. All right, we went all over the place on Hulk. Let's bring it back home. Hold on, let's get to this. Mr. Anthropic skate scored on Image before hitting at Marvel. Yeah. What do we got? Baby Teeth. We got God Country, Redneck. Some great titles.
What did he do? Damn it! What is it called? He did it before God Country.
Man, I know what you're talking about.
Superhero. He's like a superhero. He can only get his powers when he's drunk or high, and his dad's like a supervillain. Damn it! He Ghost Fleet. I know he did. Donnie did. He did do good at Image, but even then, Bendis. I mean, I'm not trying to detract for that, Mr. Anthropic, but thinking of like people like Bendis, he had scored big with like stuff like Jinx and Powers before he really. And then he came over to Marvel and still had to work his way up, even though he had scored big on the indie scene. So that's why I've always been fascinated by Donnie, is because I've never really seen anyone just shoot up like he did so quickly.
Getting bigger names, yeah. I feel like I agree with Mr. Anthropic. He's good on 6-issue runs. I think he's better in tight quarters. He's not a Hickman. He's not going to build out some expansive universe over 3 years for you. But at the same time, if he gets a character he's passionate about, like with Venom, you never know what happens. Like, he did a good job building that out. Like, and King of Black was pretty solid, all things said. All right. Anyway, moving on. Avengers number 3. Jed McKay. How you feeling about the Avengers run so far, bro? How you like the team? What do you think about the team lineup?
I love the team lineup. It's there wasn't really anything wrong with Aaron's lineup, to be honest. Technically that is a pretty powerful team, but they never really jived or felt like they were working as a team.
Real quick, everybody, just for y'all that don't know, the team lineup is Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers is the team leader, Captain Marvel. Then we got Iron Man, Thor, Black Panther, Sam Wilson's Captain America, Scarlet Witch, and Vision. So that's our 7-member lineup. Station favorite.
I think it's a solid lineup. You got greats throughout the whole thing. You got someone to touch upon every era, almost. You got some good callbacks. Like, I'm really looking forward to like more Scarlet Witch and Vision interactions. I feel like McKay's gonna get them back together. The lineup's solid. Now, I'm talking about this with somebody the other day. It's like, I don't dislike it, but it's solid. I think it's because I keep comparing it to stuff like Bendis' New Avengers or Hickman's Avengers, and I'm this is fun. This is fun, and I'm looking at it, and not every Avengers story has to be some. I don't know, but I feel like this is trying to be epic too.
It is.
Because Hickman, like Bendis' story compared to this one is way more intimate. Like the breakout of the raft is way more grounded, but that almost feels more epic in a way. I'm gonna say, I was telling people the other day, I was like, I'll stick out the first arc. It's solid right now, but it's just not doing it for me. I want to see more. I'll wait to see more, because I know the first arcs aren't always the best indicator of a run. Sometimes it takes a while to get some momentum going. So based off, I do like McKay, and based off the strength of the team lineup, I'll stick around. But right now, it's solid. I'm not disliking it, but it's not blowing my mind.
Okay, fair enough. I think we're headed for like a team shakeup. I think some of these guys are going down. I think because where we left off in this issue 3 is right. Carol's about to send everybody into battle, but like before Black Panther checks her and he's like, "Hey, why don't we do a little analysis of the forces we're facing before we send everybody blindly off into different corners of the globe and separate everybody?" So Vision does that and lines up the best Avenger for the best threat. Like, I forget the specifics, but you have like slightly a magic threat or something like that. It's just kind of like which is obviously going to be the best person to send out
Right.
for that, you know. And I think there's some type of android construct or something, so Vision's going to anyway, so on and so forth. But I think that it feels all very, very rushed, and I agree with you, very like rushed and epic and put together. Like these City Slayer villains feel like some grandiose Morrisonian Remender type, like, who are these outer space like badasses? And I feel like they're about to lay our Avengers low, because this feels like, I don't know, dude. This lineup feels like too normal. We don't really have any like, I don't know, nuanced outside characters. So I guess I'm speaking more for what I'm hoping it's going to be than more than like what I think it's going to be, maybe. But I would like to see a shakeup. I would like to see some of these guys like laid low, but it's certainly got.
I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Wonder Man. You got Wonder Man show. I know it's on the Holtz right now, but yeah, you know, I always enjoyed the good love triangle back in the Busey days. Well, that's what I'm most familiar with. Was when Wanda brought Simon back to life, and her and Vision were kind of on the outs, and now that Simon was back, he was really on the outs, and she kind of still felt for Vision. It was even as a kid, that was a cool dynamic, bro. And the whole fact that his brain patterns were based off of Simon's, you've always got some meat there to really, you know, so they've got some history together. And I think Wonder Man's a little underrated in terms of being an Avenger. He's pretty strong. He's you know, he's like a boy for shit like that. You want those good-looking cats, the best, and he presents well. And that's Wonder Man, bro. So I'd say Wonder Man would be a good addition to the team.
Thanks, dude. I don't have like a specific person in mind. I would just like to see I don't know, somebody different or a different team lineup. But
so, like, you know, and why not bring? You know, I remember back when Hickman made Sam and Bobby in Avengers finally, you know, Sunspot and Cannonball, like that was cool. Spider-Man and Wolverine becoming Avengers on Bendis' stuff. If you see a cat brought in, I didn't realize that as a kid, I didn't know that Firestar was from a cartoon of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So when I saw Firestar, yeah, she was first introduced in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, bro. Wow. Firestar.
That's crazy.
But bring someone like that back. Like, you know, she was kind of tied to the Avengers. I mean, she's with the X-Men right now, but Justice, she was dating Justice. You know, he's a mutant. Bring him into the fold, something like that, you know. Some random character that could grow with, you know. I think that works for a book like the Avengers. It's okay to have all A-list characters, but, you know, bring in a smaller tier character like Luke Cage. He got to grow tremendously with the new Avengers under his penmanship, you know. So I think that, they do. I agree with you. There needs to be a shakeup. Yeah. It feels too safe.
I want the character dynamics, though. I just don't want, like, some grandiose, you know, epic thing. I don't know. I want characters, like, so it would be cool to see, like, you know, Wonder Man get in the middle of that relationship or something like that. I don't know. I'm definitely down for that. I'd love to see a Wonder Man appearance. I'd love to see anybody other than some of these ones we got that we've been leaning on for so much. That's what I liked about Bendis, was his willingness to pick through the Marvel universe and bring different people into play. For
the century, bro.
You know, like Spider-Woman. Whoever thought Spider-Woman would have played the role she did in the mid-2000s? Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah. Speaking of teams getting broken up, I guess I'll use this segue. Let's talk about Hellfire Gala, the X-Men issue. I think I'll go ahead and put a precursor on this. Me and you have both not been reading X-Men. Is that correct? But we both read this issue, and I think we both agreed you don't really have to be necessarily super versed in what's been going on to know.
No, not at all.
To follow where we're going. Anyway, I'll let you take it away. What'd you think?
I thought it was a banger. I was really impressed, to be honest. I felt like they've been so stagnant for the last few years because they want to play in that little era Hickman setup, that this was finally like a foot. They've been taking baby steps. This seemed like a giant step forward. Like now we're actually heading towards the end game of maybe what Hickman had planned or some idea of that. But there's a lot that happened in this issue. You had Kamala Khan come out as a mutant. You had a new team, and we'll see how. I don't know how I feel about that, because if they don't do something with that team of X-Men, while at the same time I was like, really? That's the team of X-Men? But if it was only done as a joke and they lasted all of,
man.
I'm gonna be really mad because I was saying a few weeks ago that I enjoyed when Juggernaut was like 2000 early 2000s. Chuck Austin was writing Uncanny X-Men. He brought in Juggernaut. He did a lot of stuff that wasn't cool, but one of the things I did enjoy was he made Juggernaut like a team play with the X-Men, and it's made sense as to his change of heart. And so I was kind of glad to see Juggernaut on a team of X-Men, but that didn't last too long. But you had some really cool moments, bro. Nimrod just fucking everything up.
Just dialogue was like,
yo, bro.
Like, Nimrod was talking his shit. Like, that was great.
He was bringing the heat too. You had like 2 fastball specials. You had Kitty and Strong Guy, and then I called it the shotgun fastball special with Gene and Juggernaut, bro. Like,
how cool was that, dude? Dude, that was like the cow gun in No Country for Old Men, bro. Like, I'm surprised bro even got up from that one. That was crazy.
Man, but it leaves there's so many questions this leaves you with that I think is a good thing in this instance because it's setting a series of things up. But you've got to deal with like Professor X, where are the missing mutants? You know,
wow.
Yeah, just a lot. I was kind of glad to see it because it feels like this is a lot where we'll actually see a lot happen from all this stuff, as opposed to like sometimes there's a lot of noise but nothing's really going on, which is kind of, I feel, where 2 years ago, like fall of 2021 was like I dropped off X-Men month to month, but that was around a time where I felt like a lot of noise was happening but nothing was really going on. I can't speak in the last 2 years. It seems like they've stepped it up. But this finally feels like what I was looking for 2 years ago, where it's like they're moving the ball forward. We're going to see some serious things play out. I was really impressed, man. I didn't expect it because everyone kept saying, oh, the gala, the gala. I was like, oh, the gala. But when I finally read it, I was like, oh, the gala, the gala. So
yeah. The one thing I forgot to ask X-Men readers is, like, did y'all expect this to happen? Was there a lead up to this? Because this, I don't know.
Interesting.
But it was crazy. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna. Yeah, so
yes,
a lot
sir.
of noise equals X of Swords. X of Swords was like over 24 books. Give me a break, man. Like, give me a break. That's just so disrespectful to us as consumers, I feel like. To expect us to go forward and shit like that.
They made us read how many issues of Teenie Howard. No, I'm just saying.
That's you hit the hot button name right there, bro. The Teenie Howard, but yeah, they hit the Teenie Howard button. Oh, well, I missed the comment. E said the gala could be I thought this was a great point. E could be the excellent jumping off point for lapsed readers, and it totally felt like that to me. Like I haven't read any. I think I gave Sins of Sinister a couple of those issues to read, but like characters kept popping up that I had no idea what was going on with, or I had to ask friends about the backstory, and I got tired of annoying them, so I just gave up on that. And this is when I had back in. So yeah, it was great, man. I loved like the introduction of the X team, and I was like, Sync? I remember reading the names like Sync, and then flip the page, and the next page was Nimrod like coming down to nuke the whole situation, man. And I love that we got Carnage in this one. We got robot bodies torn in half. We got bodies torn in half. Like they didn't. It was nice. It was like some Invincible level. Yeah, we got some good violence in that. So yeah, man, I thought it was a great hard reset. What happened to Iceman? Is my boy all right? Like, bro got the swinging arrow of Apollo. Like, damn. But that's where they're picking up. That's where they're picking it up next week with the Astonishing Iceman #1. So we gotta be all right.
I was just gonna say he can't be dead, and I'm tired of like people writing him as he could be dead when he's been established as an Omega level mutant for like the last 20 years. Omega level is God tier. There's like no limit to what their power set can do. Like they're basically, I'd really like to see a writer try to tackle that. Because I know that's kind of a bit of Bobby's, but he's one of the most powerful mutants there is. Legitimately one of the most powerful.
Yeah.
No one
ever was like, it was like, I terraformed a planet, bro. Like when he was talking to Nimrod, he's like, yeah. But then
Come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, they had yeah.
Fable said,
Yeah. Gen X for life, baby.
Fable said 22 issues to bring back the Captain Britain Corps to do nothing. Fable, what you thought this was? Alan Moore ain't writing this, bro. Come on, man. You know.
Howard. Teeny Howard.
I know you ain't disappointed about Captain. Thinking Jubilee better still be official X-Men. Yeah, bro. I thought like it was cool to see Jubilee, and like she looked good in that art too, until the next panel.
Interesting. I know they're not the same, but I always thought like Jubilee and Dazzler kind of, they're very bright with their powers, and it's like fireworks. Not Dazzlers, I know, but I thought it was interesting that they were both on the same team. I was like, that it's not my ideal X-Men team, but it's so random. I was like, I want to see that can work. Like, I want to see a book devoted to just those characters working as a team, not getting their asses handed to them in like 3 seconds after their debut. So, but
that's crazy. Fable, who was writing that Captain Britain book? I'm curious. I wonder how that all went.
Teeny.
Was it bad just the whole way through? Did it have anything to do with X Universe, or clue me in? What am I missing?
There's a lot of noise, but nothing going on.
It just
like
sounds
X
like busy work. They just gave her some busy work in the X office?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
And when it could have gone to someone like Kelly Thompson, or someone like give Cy Spurrier a monthly book. Why has he always got to write the minis and shit like that for the X-Men? I mean, I know he's done some monthlies before, but this was years ago. Give my man a monthly again.
Yeah, bro. You said Teeny Howard is dead to a book. Hey, you get canceled 3 times. Hell nah. Damn. All right, fair enough. Well, now I know what I need to know.
Yes.
Damn. All right.
Well, that's
so. What do you think the team is going to be moving forward? I mean, okay, first of all, hold on. Let me say this. Can we stop trusting Charles Xavier? Can we put him in his freaking place at the back of the class? Bro is not qualified to lead anymore, man. He's a danger to himself and everyone around him. He's a senile old man. We need to get him some applesauce and daytime TV and just take care of business, bro. We need to treat him like Logan did. We need to put him in the Epcot Dome, like Logan did. Because bro just walked how many people off into what, 250,000 people off Krakoa into God. I know they're not dead because it's comics, but come on, man.
Right.
I'm fed up.
No, you're right. When Scott was leading the X-Men in the 2010s, bro, Scott didn't experience no bullshit like this. Like, Scott did a pretty solid job. Scott and Emma, they led some of the mutants through some dark times, pretty soundproof. It's supposed to be the glory days for mutants, and they're even worse off than before. Like,
man, that's crazy. I wonder how. He said he never saw this coming. I wonder how, for X readers, I wonder how far off in advance they were planning this, or how how to bring it all down. But I don't know. I wish I was up to date on my solicit, so I knew like what was, you know what I mean. I'll have to do some research for that, like next episode, so I know what's going on. But,
God damn it!
I'm curious to see who the X-Men's going to be, though. I really am. Like the new, especially with that font they shared with us that looks like Age of Apocalypse. I'm really curious to see who they choose. I think that's going to be essential to the success of the line moving forward.
Shit. We had maybe this will be like Apocalypse's time to lead, bro. Like it's just, we had Magneto lead a team of mutants at one point in the 80s. Like, let's give Apocalypse. He actually did a pretty Age of Apocalypse, man. His version of the X-Men, probably some of the deadliest team of X-Men, and they were like all at their peak for their power levels, like because they pushed them to their limits, and like maybe Apocalypse is that guy that they need to really step their shit up and become the heroes they ought to be.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this.
You said Apocalypse and Magneto leave Krakoa and everything goes to shit. Hashtag Magneto is right. There you go, bro. Sal said next big event is the Emma and Tony wedding. I forgot about that. Yeah. That's going to be interesting. Good Lord, what a nightmare couple that is, man.
You know what? I know this is probably a hot take, but I really liked Scott and Emma, and I preferred him with Emma. I'm just gonna say it. I liked Scott and Emma more than Scott and Jean. I feel like with Scott and Emma, it was like an opposites attract thing where it's like they balanced each other out. Like Emma was she's feisty and very opinionated. She needs someone that's very stern and a little bit of boring. Scott's not boring, but he's not as spicy as Emma. Where I feel like Jean and Scott are just two of the same, kind of peas in a pod. Like they both like quiet life, and there's something in Emma that excites Scott. That brings something out in him. That's why he led the X-Men so well during the darkest period.
All right, so who do you like for Jean then? Logan? No.
You know what? Like, come on, let's stop toying around with it. Jean's been attracted to him for years. There's been this unspoken attraction. She's probably admitted it as much, but she's so obligated and devoted to Scott. Like, let's give them what they both want. Logan's always wanted Jean. He's wanted her the most out of any woman, I feel like, personally. Let's let him have a fair shot at it. Scott got to go play around. Let Jean go play around.
Dude,
and none of that.
Scott has never really caught proper rec for like what he was doing with the whole cheating inside the mind of for how long, and it's like I don't know, bro. I can't believe Jean didn't like nuke Emma off the face of the earth when she found out about all that. I was
yeah. They thought she did. Emma was shattered into pieces.
Yeah,
but. That's right, and none of that. They don't even go all the way with it. So let's just drop the whole polyamorous ideas in between the tri-relationship.
And let's not just even the thing.
Scott, yeah, let Scott be solo. Let him be the oddball out for once. Let Jean be with Logan. Emma can be with Scott. Emma can be with Tony, even though I prefer with Scott. But I am curious to see how this Emma and Tony thing work out. Yeah.
Yeah. Logan and Jean, there's your new Teeny Howard series. Or not.
Right. Just put the cherry on top and...
Hey, look who's in the chat. Shout out to my wife coming through. Logan all day. Let's go! Jess knows what time it is. I mean, who wants Hot Summer? Come on, man. That guy's just not all right. All right, so Hellfire Gala's out of the way, dude. How'd you do on Seasons of Chief? How many issues did you get under your belt there?
How many was it? 4?
I think 4 are out all day. Yeah, there's 4 out all day.
Oh, I gotta catch up on 4. I don't think it was available yet. But I did read 1 through 3, and I was really impressed, man.
Yeah. Talk to me.
I know. I've read Dan Waters before. And I know Robbie has praised him for years, the last couple. And Homesick Pilots was cool, but this thing was really, I was really in, sometimes no disrespect, Dan Waters is a little too deep for me sometimes. His Arkham Asylum series I was really looking forward to that, and that was solid, but this was a good balance. Like, I don't know, there was good pacing to this book. I thought it was cool to see, seasons encompassed into monsters and the different things they'll do. That was really unique. And if it's only 4 issues, I find that kind of cool too, because each issue has been devoted to a season. And I'd like them to do more, though. I'd like to see more of the chaos these monsters or the seasons have, created. I was impressed. Good, solid recommendation. Thank you, my brother.
Man, I'm glad you like. I completely agree with you, dude. I think this is one of the reasons why I love comic books, because you think the idea of hey, let's turn seasons into giant kaijus, and then we'll follow this story of this photographer dealing with his own sad life and the loss of his wife. The whole way they tie it together is pretty brilliant. I especially that part of the story about how his wife wasted away from cancer. He basically made his name as a photographer by taking pictures of her, and he's lived with that guilt / fame / infamy all of his life, and now he's trying to redeem himself through the pic, following these monsters that nobody else is crazy enough to get close to and take these crazy pictures. I did read. I went and bought no, you're good. I went and bought issue 4 on Google Play Books. I will say I think the first 3 issues were the strongest. The ending didn't quite hit as hard for me. But I agree with what you're saying as far as like them building out a world from this. I think there's still many stories to be told, and you don't have to just focus on this individual to tell a good story with it. Anyway, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you. I like the whole emotional arc of like the guilt and regret the dude's going through. Like, you know, I like the theme of like sometimes I feel like it's hard. People are fallible, we're flawed, you know, and I feel like sometimes it's hard for us to admit when we've been the bad guy in a story or something like that. And I feel like he's dealing with that. He's like, yo. Like what he was doing with his wife, it's not anything nefarious, but it's like, you know, he was taking pictures of his dying wife and he got awards off that. And, you know, he made it, he tried to convince himself even that he was doing it for an altruistic reasoning, but he's finally coming into terms, or maybe he's just dealing with him coming to terms with the fact that he was doing it for selfish purposes, you know? And, you know, he's kind of coming to grips with that and trying to work his way through the guilt and redeem himself with these, you know, he was, like I said, it was kind of selfish what he did. He's trying to be selfless in a sense by getting these pictures that no one else dared to get. So it was a cool story. Really impressed when someone could tell in 4 issues you can't really do a lot in 4 issues, and we'll get to that in a book we talk about soon. But I was really impressed by how well put together. You know, you got a lot of this dude's story, and you got enough kaiju to balance it out within 4 issues. Even though I've only read the 3, but I'm looking forward to the 4 issues.
Well said. And I like the depiction of like Chernobyl was autumn. I thought that was dope, very dope. Like the decay and the rot of it. But yeah, I like how like he's at this crossroads where he had the choice to basically be a loving husband or take that moment and make a selfish decision towards his career. And he chose the latter, and like, you know, him just kind of trying to navigate the fallout of that through, you know, following these kaiju, these seasonal kaiju, and taking pictures and stuff like that, and just really just like wrestling with the guilt of it all. I mean, there's no really happy ending to the story. He's just trying to, you know, find some answers for himself. I thought it was, you know, completely blindsided me. Like you said, like, you know, how can you go into a comic expecting something like this? But definitely recommend Seasons Have Teeth by Dan Watershaw. Check that book out. Great book. I'm glad you enjoyed it, dude. Thank you for reading it. I appreciate you jumping on. We talked about it. Yeah, man. We talked about it a little bit last week, Ultimate Invasion. You want to say anything more about it moving forward?
That was the I was speaking of. Oh, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. There's a lot going on, and I'm trying to find a good analogy for this. I feel like this is the most Mark Miller thing I've read from Hickman, where it's like there's a lot of there's some ideas going on, don't get me wrong, but it's not as deep as to what I'm usually used to reading with Hickman. Like, it seems very action blockbuster from Hickman. I don't know. I feel like with how where issue 2 left off, I don't know, because we didn't see the Illuminati at all. It's like I feel like issue 3 is gonna have to do a lot of work to have this come to a solid conclusion in 4 issues. I don't think it'll be bad. And Hickman's never written anything bad, but I was interested in this issue, but not blown away like I usually am. It was cool. A lot of things going on. It's hard for me to articulate this, but I'm just very curious as to where this is heading. You know, and I don't know.
Here's my question: are we ending this? Is this going to be like a wham bam thank you man in 4 issues? Or are we setting up a new Ultimate Universe to come out of this?
I think it's setting up a new Ultimate Universe to come out of this, but you know, I don't. You know, I guess I'm looking at the main characters wrong. Like, you know, I thought the Illuminati was going to be a big part of this. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll come back. Right?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm kind of lost where this is headed. But I trust Hickman, and Hickman I trust. I don't want this. This issue was not bad. I just kind of was expecting more, I guess. More answers as to or where this is headed. Yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, I do think this, like you said, is just a setup for the new Ultimate Universe coming up.
Yeah, it's curious. I wonder how drawn out or like how concentrated that's going to be. Like how many, like if it's going to be what characters are going to choose to highlight, or is it going to be the Ultimate? I guess it's going to be the Ultimates, and we'll see what happens from there. But
real quick, have you seen the cover for Ultimate Universe?
the new one?
Or no, just the basic. It's got Iron Man, Cap, Thor on the cover, but then in the back or in front of them in the background there's silhouettes of three characters shadowed out. One looks like Black Panther, one looks like Spider-Man, but there's a mystery character I could not put it. The silhouette of it reminds me of William Dafoe's Hobgoblin from Spider-Man the movies. Like, it's got a very angular head, and I can't think of who that would be. Like, you know, even the silhouette Spider-Man could be someone else, but it, like the body posture looks like Spider-Man, but the angular head, there's one character I could not put my finger on. Like, who, if there's, because, you know, the whole Ultimate Universe is always confined and not as many heroes. If they're only going to have a handful of heroes in the Ultimate Universe, who's someone they could push, you know, like that.
Like a Spider-Man with a hood on?
It could be two Spider-Man though. Like, one has like he's like angular like Spider-Man. You can tell like it's a Spider-Man character. Yeah. One a Black Panther pose. He has like the cat ears, but it's all black. And then there's a shadow of like a character that looks like he's got a pointy helmet on. It's either like the Wasp or William Dafoe Hobgoblin. I can't think of a superhero with like a pointy like.
What is this? What is this for? I'm gonna try to look it up real quick.
It's the Ultimate Universe one-shot by Hickman and Caselli. It's kicking off the new Ultimate Universe coming out after an invasion.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll try to look it up and bring it back. No, that's crazy. I hadn't heard about that. Yeah, I wonder. It's a lot more, I guess, limited than I thought it would be as far as, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It seems like it's going to be, I guess, more strict interest than I thought it would be, but I don't know.
More like, so I thought it was going to be a little bit more epic. I don't know, like, if that's the right word, but this seems more self-contained than I thought it would have been.
Okay, especially, this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Background, can y'all see it?
Who's the one on the other side, on the left hand? It might be your right hand side, but who do you think that is? Like, the other ones look like Spider-Man, Black Panther. They could be somebody completely else.
Like Luke Cage vibes right there. Oh shit!
But it looks like he's in armor though, doesn't it? I could see that. Like, what kind of hat does he have on though?
It looks like a hoodie, bro. It looks like a
okay.
But then again, you never know, right? Definitely Spider-Man, and definitely, yeah, that definitely looks like a goblin over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It reminds me of, like, you know, I'm curious. I'm very curious.
Ultimate Thor cap and Iron Man on the cover besides that. I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
William Dafoe's the Wasp.
Yo, I'm here for that, bro. I'm here for Willem Dafoe as anything. Just I mean,
put his name on it. Shit.
Guy's brilliant, dude. I just watched him as Vincent Van Gogh. Have you ever seen that movie? Not to get completely off task.
No, I haven't. What is it called? Van Gogh?
I forget what the name of it is. It was incredible, though, man. This guy's such a great actor. Right. One of those guys I feel lucky to be around to see his work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. I think that. Oh, Last Days of Luthor. Did you get around to that? The Mark Waid.
I didn't know that was by Brian Hitch. I saw that.
Brian Hitch. Yeah, Brian Hitch is not doing like he's doing like Batman's Grave. I think Robbie said this or somebody. Batman's Grave level, not authority level. Brian Hitch. Batman's Grave level. Brian, and I think that's a fair thing to say. But yeah, Lex Luthor is dying. He wants Superman. He basically petitioned Superman to save him. Superman, of course, takes him up on the offer. Lex Luthor broadcasts it to the whole world, and the whole world thinks Superman's a chump for saving the worst guy in the universe. And that's kind of the story, more or less, in issue 1. A Black Label book from Mark Waid. That's why I picked
Black Label.
Yeah, it is.
I enjoyed it. It gave, you know, Mark Waid, I think, he's one of the better Superman. I really loved his what was it called? Oh, I can't think of it, but I have Linnell Francis Yu, Superman.
Is this confidential or not? Confidential on Birthright?
Yeah, Birthright was really cool. And it gave me like kind of like a, and I remember this. I forgot that Hitch did back in 2015. He did a JLA relaunch. It was written and drawn by Hitch. Then it only lasted like 10 issues, and there was one issue that wasn't even drawn by him. And this kind of, you know, that and Batman's Graveyard gives me this vibe, these vibes. But I think it was a little bit better just because Kevin Nolan, I think, helped with the inks a lot. Mm-hmm. He gave a little like an edge to Hitch's art that's not usually there sometimes. It was cleaner than usual, I would say. Like, Hitch's are usually a little bit scratchier, and Nolan's inks made it a little bit smoother. But I will say it's not his best. It gave me All-Star Superman vibes, but almost in reverse, where it was like Superman was cellular decaying and he was trying to find this cure, but it's just like the coin's flipped on its head and it's Superman's helping his worst enemy, or his arch nemesis, should I say, stop from dying from cellular decay. And I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll get some cool little interesting Lex Luthor interactions throughout the rest of the DC universe as they try to pursue this cure for this terminal illness Lex Luthor has. So it was I'm impressed. You know, I don't read. I'm more of a Marvel guy. You know, but so Superman is very hit or miss for me. But when I read a solid Superman book, I like to oh, that was good. I was really engaged with that, and I was really engaged with this Superman book. So I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it because I was like, oh, Superman. Our last days of Lex Luthor, like, I'll check it out, Stu, but it was really good. Once again, solid.
Very good. Yeah, man. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Sal also said it reminds him a bit of All-Star Superman, except Lex is now dying of radiation. Yeah, absolutely. And it was really cool to see him go to Kandor, dude, and get to interact. Yeah. And like how Kal-El doesn't like coming down there because they view him as a god, and he's uncomfortable with that. And like, you know, Luthor would be on the other side of that coin in a heartbeat. But soaking it in. Yeah, but it's always cool. For some reason, like, you know, it's always cool for me witnessing Luthor like see Superman as like an awesome person and like kind of like get swayed in that direction, but ultimately like decide against it. But I don't know. Superman's infinite patience is always like, I think that's a lesson that we could definitely use in this day and age. So like, I thought it was a cool approach to a story. I had no idea it was coming down the pipeline. It completely took me by surprise. But yeah, man, Wade has been doing such a good job lately with the books. I had to give it a shot. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. I enjoyed it as well, for sure. Can't wait to see what happens with that. I don't know how many. It just says book 1. I don't know how many issues we're getting total, but that'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Oh, I think it was like 12 issues. I think that would be kind of cool. Like it'd be thematically or like following All-Star Superman. I think 12 issues. I mean, you know, eight maybe. You know, don't make it short.
I think it's way shorter than that, bro. These Black Label books usually go for like 2 or 3. I don't think it's gonna go for that long. Yeah, man. Like if it went for 12 issues, I'd be astounded because I don't know many Black Label books that are that big that are going for that many issues. Usually it's like Aquaman and Andromeda was 3, the Suicide Squad Blaze one was 3, One Dark Knight was 3. Usually
Wonder Woman was like,
yeah, I don't know. Which I'm not mad at because they're beautiful. I love that format. It's just a little pricey, and you know.
It's the prestige.
What?
It's the prestige format. The size.
It's a biggie. It's a biggie. Yeah. E said, Lex dying from the same thing that gives his arch nemesis power is so perfect. I can't believe no one else wrote that before, right? And I think Wade has had this in the pipeline for quite a while. If I remember one interview or the other, him, like, they've been trying to get this book. I think he's had the idea, the seeds for this book for quite a while, but actually getting the artist to draw it has been the thing. So good to see it finally come to fruition.
One thing I wanted to shout out about Wade was his little knack for detail, bro. I mean, we all know the man's has a knack for detail, but it's like his knowledge base. Just when Superman is stopping the earthquake by flying through certain points in the island, and just his explanation of that. I love little small details of that. You know how Superman's saving the day, and some other people would just show it, but Wade goes a little extra mile and gives the science that little. I don't even know if it's facts, but he writes it so well that it's like, that must. You know, like
Yeah,
I like that.
I like seeing him solve shit with his mind and not just like brute force. Like, and like that just kind of reminds you, like, this is an alien who approaches this, who might approach things a little bit, who has the ability to like see through our own physiology. He might approach things a bit differently like that. And like I like being reminded of situations where that's apparent. That's very cool. Like, it's cool to see him do stuff just besides like, you know, the things where
Oh,
where you,
have you read this is tying into what Sal said. He says he likes the young Clark and Lex have a bit hit. Have you? Oh shit! My Alexa popped on. Oh no, I'm not gonna say the name. But have you read Secret Origins by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank?
I have not.
Superman Secret.
I mean,
That gave me a little bit. Yeah, it was solid. It's not the best origin. I don't want to say it's not the best. It's solid, but I enjoy Birthright a little bit more. But this gave me vibes of like a bunch of cool runs of Superman I read. So I was like, I was down for it. I was like, oh, pleasant surprise. I'm looking forward to next issue.
That's a great point by Sal, though. I completely forgot about that. Like how they came up in high school together in this story, which is different than most normal Lex and Clark interactions. Like they've had a childhood history together, so that definitely impacts things. But yeah, Mark Waid, man, keep going at DC, bro. You're killing it. I love that. Like, no, I appreciate that because the Silver Age sensibility thing is not really like my cup of tea. So seeing stories that encapsulate that feeling or that aesthetic and also tie it in modern ways and make it really cool, I'm all for it, man. I think that's what a lot of these guys should be doing in the first place. But yeah, shout out to him. All right, dude. Let's move on to our hip hop segment. Talking about a very kick-ass special album tonight. From October 2012, Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City, his studio debut. Of course, after the mixtapes Overly Dedicated and The Great Section 80, which really announced
Yeah, Section 80.
You know, that was the heralding the coming of Kendrick. You know, Good Kid, Mad City was a meteor landing on Earth, man. I guess starting off, just what were your first impressions of Kendrick that you remember? What, you know, some of your earliest memories of the guy, whether it be this album or not. Yeah, you know, just where you coming from.
I was first introduced to Kendrick Lamar by Drake, and it was his Take Care album, the Buried Alive interlude. Okay. And I just thought, I was like, yo, at the time, you know, Drake was in his prime, you know, like whatever he did, he had the Midas touch. This is, you know, right as he's like challenging people like Jay-Z and Kanye who are in their Watch the Throne phase. Like this is when Drake's, you know, he's like a few years in the game challenging some of these legends and giving them a run for their money. So Drake had a lot of hype behind him. So when I heard this dude, I had never heard of Kendrick Lamar. I had heard of K-Dot, but did not know that Kendrick Lamar had switched his name to Kendrick Lamar. And I hadn't heard too many songs of him as K-Dot, maybe like one or two, and it was never something I deeply listened to. But when I took recognition of him, was this song, the Buried Alive interlude. And after that, I was just, you know, I was trying to find out everything I missed. And like, you know, Rigor Mortis, that's like one of the first songs I heard of by Kendrick Lamar. I think it's one of his best songs. ADHD, I love ADHD. I know it's so commercial, but there's something about the flow and just the lyricism, dog, and just the production of that song that's always been a favorite of mine. But yeah, needless to say, I was really hyped for this album. Like, you know, he had Dr. Dre behind him. You know, Dr. Dre doesn't just back anybody. So
it was similar to that 50 Cent buzz when 50 Cent like came. Like, remember when right before 50 Cent? I don't know. That might have been before your time. But like when 50 Cent was bubbling and everything like that, everybody knew Dr. Dre and Eminem were behind him, and that was part of like the huge amount of momentum he had going on. But for me, I remember being on the blogs and following Kendrick with the Overly Dedicated mixtape and knowing the name. But Section 80, which is Rigor Mortis, is off of ADHD, Ronald Reagan era. Like some of those songs, like were like, okay, this kid's official, because that whole mixtape had that jazz sample vibe to it. Really good production, good skits, just a whole good theme. And then A Good Kid, Mad City was next level. Me personally, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe was like the song I used to recruit people to Kendrick for quite a while. That song has like a special place for me. I just think it's one of those special songs in hip hop, man. From the chorus to everything it says, you know, the whole message he has in it throughout. That's just one of my personal favorite Kendrick songs. Anyway.
No, I respect. You prefer that or the remix with Jay-Z more?
I prefer the original because the original was the first, and it was cool to see. And I love that video of like when they play Kendrick the remix. I don't know if you've seen it, but they play Kendrick the remix for the first time before we ever heard it, and like Jay-Z, like he thinks it's just they told him like, oh, we remastered this, we want you to check it out before we put it on the album, but it really Jay-Z had hopped on the remix and he didn't know it, and so like the whole Jay-Z verse caught him by surprise, which was cool. But at that time, it was just like it felt a little bit to me like Jay-Z recognizes that this kid is obviously next up and is kind of like hopping on, wants to get on like and show his stamp of approval, which is a smart career move for him. I'm not mad at that. That's a good business.
I mean, let's be honest. That's one of Drake's strengths as to why he's thrived for so long. Is that
he's good. Yeah.
He's put people on, but at the same time, I think Drake is a very calculated man where he recognizes what's going to be big next, and he kind of gets behind them before they get big. So you can always say, well, I was your friend before you were big, you know, or I kind of helped you on. But Drake, a lot of that is he recognizes when something's going to get big, and he wants to ride that, you know, the wave. And that's a smart business move, you know.
It is. Yeah. But I respect that about Kendrick all the same. Is like he doesn't need to he feels no need to participate in any of that. I feel like Kendrick is very much the sheltered artist. He's only he's only like he said. I think he said when he created that, like, or when he creates, he shuts everything else off. He doesn't want any outside influences. So I very much respect. I think we need torchbearers like that in the game. We need guys who are going to be all about the art, all about the product that's coming out. And I think it's not just necessary for us as consumers to give us something good to listen to, but also like for everybody else to have a standard to look up to. I feel like he's one of those up there with J. Cole these days. You know, I feel like to me he's the top standard bearer. He's the one that, you know, when he comes out, everybody else is paying attention because it's culturally. Every time Kendrick releases something, it's culturally impactful. It's not just impactful on hip hop; it's impactful on culture as a whole.
I agree. Well said.
I don't know. Yeah, and he's like next level. Like he's, you know, his skills, you know, you can point to any number of verses, freestyles. We could go on, you know. I mean, he really is not just with his substance, but like his technical skills. Dude is on the next level.
Yep. No joke. He takes the craft seriously. Like you can tell. Like, and I never really had heard him say that. Like when he creates, he kind of shuts everything off. But you can tell. I mean, now that you said that, I can peep that because he never sounds like anybody else. He's always doing his own thing. You know, he's, you know, sound wise, like you can tell he's got a love for like infusing jazz with his type of pop. Like he's got a heavy love for jazz, and I love how he incorporates that into his. He commercializes certain music that a lot of people want to give much of a chance under different circumstances. So no, yeah, I like that he does what he likes, and you know he takes it very seriously, and you can tell, like you said, he impacts culture with every album. It's not just hip hop; it's a cultural thing every time Kendrick drops an album. So, man's the beast.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I just going through the track list. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up. I don't know what's your favorite. Do you have a favorite song off the album? One more than the other? I think there's some. All right, so here I'll walk you through it. It starts off. First of all, one of the things I love about this album is the skits. The skits are integral into making this what is it viewed as a conceptual album, but is a great snapshot in time that he went and got the actual people he grew up with and put them in the studio in front of the microphone and more or less like recreated some of these moments from his youth, which had to be harrowing for all involved and kind of surreal, but like it adds such a level of authenticity tangibility to the album where you feel like you're really in the back seat with these guys,
Yeah.
or you really just went through what they went through. Like sometimes, and it's funny, I was listening to, I forget what song it was the other day, but the song ended, and like for whatever reason, the app I was listening on, it just went to the next song. But usually when I listen to it, the skit plays at the end of and I was like ready for the skit. I was anticipating the skit just as much. And when it went to the next song without playing this, like, you know what I mean? So it's such a, I don't know. I thought he did such a great job, like tying together the theme of the album as far as like, I really want to give you a snapshot of what my childhood was like in Compton growing up.
I think you said it perfectly. Like he's a very like you said, it's a conceptual album, but when you're listening to it, he's very visual with his words. Like he paints these very vivid pictures, and you feel like this is like you're living moments of his life or his experiences with him, through this music. Yeah. And that's a hard to convey, So I think that says a lot about, like you said, he's brought people in from his life to like kind of. I was listening to, I forget what the song was today, but I was listening to it earlier before we did the stream. But he's got like his mom on his skit, and she's talking about, they're from Chicago, and I know you're gonna take this music thing seriously, and it's just, it feels so real, like an actual voicemail, and it's hard to convey that, like without my mind thinking like, oh, they just recorded that. When I get the authentic feeling, like, it seems like some personable stuff. It's some real stuff. It's real, man. He's a really
It's so awesome. Let me just read you this quote from this interview from back then that he said. Hold on. He had it because he put. I thought I was going to win Best Rap Album at the Grammys, which you did. I put a lot of work in on my album, and the biggest thing for me is knowing that it was basically an underground album. It didn't have any big #1 records on it, and there wasn't really any commercial hits. Besides Swimming Pools, that's largely true.
Right.
It was great songs, and I think the message behind it reaches as many listeners and believers as a super mainstream album. So for me, when you're saying rap, yeah, that would be my definition of something that deserved an accolade. And I just thought that was really well said. Hold on, he had one other thing you wanted to say. Oh, okay. I'd be lying to you if to say I knew would be as successful. The album would be as successful as it was. In the beginning, I was very doubtful. Once I was done, the jitters hit me so fast. I was so confident in making it because I was like, "This is it, man. Nobody heard this story, and if you heard it in bits and pieces. But I'm gonna put it together for you in a whole album." From Compton to Hood to Street, it's a whole other perspective and light. And I'm going to go back and do the skits just like how Biggie and Dre and Snoop and Pac did them. And I'm going to tell my story.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't know. I just thought that was a brilliant approach to it. And he's talked about, like, he had his people calling him after the album came out, like, crying that he got that snapshot of, like, what it was like growing up in Compton and stuff, like, so accurate. So I don't know, man. It's just a beautiful achievement, not only for you, for the people around you and that you grew up with. I mean, it had to be a great feeling.
So who? Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was gonna say,
we'll go through the track.
I know a few would stand out for me. I really like The Recipe with Dre.
Yeah.
I like Art of Peer Pressure is a favorite of mine. I felt for 5.5 minute song, bro, there's like 3 or 4 different switch ups where it's like it could have been 3 or 4 different songs, but the beat just switches up, and I'm fascinated by that. When I don't want to. The whole album. I was gonna say the whole album is an album I can kind of put on in the background and just let play all the way through.
Right.
And I'm a picky dude, bro. Like I'm not. I'm definitely. I'd rather hear something else. But this is a rare album where I can put it on and listen to it. I do have days where I like certain songs and others, but like for the last week, because we were supposed to talk about it last week, but we got caught up. But all last week, like I was listening to I listened to the album like 5 times all the way through, and I hadn't done that in a minute. I was like, I forgot about this. Like I used to just kind of let this play. Like some part of the it's like ad libs. Like there's one I think in the Art of Peer Pressure. No, it's the Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix where he's like, I hit him like bah bah bah. He's like doing the gunshot sound, but I always like how Kendrick did it, so I would just do that randomly. I'd be like, bah, you know, I'd be like, bah, bah. And I forgot about that when I heard that. I was like, man, that's where I got that from, you know. Yeah. So it was a cool visit to something. I was like, man, why did I stop listening to this? Like when this came out, this was like an album I had on repeat, and it's just I was glad to get back to it. Find an old love, you know. I was like, for sure, just solid.
Sure, I think it's much more listenable and digestible than I think like some of his other albums, like to Pimp a Butterfly or whatever. They're a little bit more like harder to wade through. This one has like something, I don't know, it just has a great, and I think like they made it where like some beats were tailored to what he wanted, but other songs were just right for the project, and I think the way that he blends it all together, the brew is very, very great. But yeah, you start off with Shireen, Master Splinter's daughter, then Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, Backseat Freestyle, you remember that one? Martin Had a Dream? Yeah. 3, 4, and 5 are like, well really 3 through 8. Backseat Freestyle, then Art of Peer Pressure, which I agree is just a fantastic song about like, really the art of peer pressure, but yeah, just like being a kid and being an idiot, and then like how I think we've all been in situations like that where like one stupid night or stupid decision could go really one way or the other, in a drastic manner. Money Trees featuring J-Rock. Oh, go ahead, my bad, dude.
No, I was gonna say real quick. I like that song, The Thematics, because like you said, it's like everyone's been a kid, and I think there is something that like when people get around each other, like people are different than when they're by themselves, and like he was saying in the song, I'm a good kid until I'm with the homies. Like peer pressure's a motherfucker, bro. It's not just kids; it's all walks of life, and you know, I love that song. My bad.
Especially as a man or a young man or a young boy at 14, 15, whether you have a father figure in your life or a strong parental figures in life, or even if you don't, like, I mean, even if you do or even if you don't, like, I've seen kids from both sides of the tracks just make the same, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's just relatable to anybody who's ever been a youth making them decisions that that wasn't necessarily their idea to begin with. But yeah, Money Trees, Poetic Justice with Drake, which I guess was like the next biggest smash besides Swimming Pools. Good Kid, Mad City, those two songs. I mean, Mad City is, I mean, come on, man. That's like the perfect song to me. Swimming Pool, Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst is like another damn near perfect song. And then Real and Compton. And then The Recipe was a bonus track, which you mentioned. And he had production from everybody. Soundwave, his buddy that he pretty much came up with, did Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, along with Mad City. He had Just Blaze on there. Hit Boy did Backseat Freestyle. I mean, he had big names already, but he didn't necessarily need the biggest names to make this a great album. I mean,
no, the man's fine. Like you said earlier, Section 80 is, you know, stands on its own.
All jazz samples, and that was all done by Soundwave. Like, that was all done by his homeboy.
ADHD and Rigor Mortis were all.
Those are. I'm pretty sure like that more or less that entire album was produced in house by the Soundwave and TDE guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh well, J. Cole produced High Power. That was a J. Cole beat, actually.
No way.
Yeah, High Power is a J. Cole beat. Yep. J. Cole's actually one of the first ones who told Dre about Kendrick. I found that out. You know Nardwuar, the Nardwuar interviews? Nardwuar interviewed J. Cole, and Jordan Nardwuar's like, is it true that you told Dr. Dre about Kendrick Lamar? And J. Cole's just like, how the fuck did you J. Cole's just dumbstruck. He's like, how did you know that? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think everybody was telling Dr. Dre about Kendrick Lamar, though, at that point in time.
That's perfect match. Yeah, that's, I feel like, I mean, I know Kendrick's doing his own thing. He's deviated. He doesn't need anybody now, especially at this point. But I think that's a good example of where I don't think I've ever heard a bad tune or like something subpar when Dre and Kendrick work together. Like, it's always something solid, you know? Like, I'd like to see more work with him. It's crazy that you said I didn't realize that until going through his discography through last week was like, man, I don't think How to Pimp a Butterfly, even though it was a great album, did well. I don't think it had any commercial releases. You know, it was just based off the strength of him being
Except,
the artist.
wasn't All Right? We Gonna Be All Right.
That was that on How to Pimp? Okay, that might have been.
I think that was like the most. I think that's as most commercial as you can call it, though. But that's a good point. Yeah, that was a very. That's what I'm saying. It's like almost an impenetrable album in that way. It's very hard to digest and like put on in the background. You know what I mean?
Right. Heavy. It's some heavy shit he's talking about. Don't get.
So yeah,
it's beautiful music because like once I think in How to Pimp a Butterfly, he kind of like leans more to the jazz that we know that
for sure. He was like more on his George Clinton, like he wanted the live band vibes. Like he wanted to be more. I think he was more of a musician. He wanted to be more of a band leader there.
Right. Instead of well, even though it's great production, I love Good Kid, Mad City, but they're two different. Like you said, they're two different vibes. You can he's definitely more. It's whatever like he's what's the word I'm looking for? Not sporadic, but someone just kind of does something like that sounds good. Let's go with that. Like he's trying to be in the moment.
Impulsive.
Yes. Impulsive. Yes.
And it still has the most bangers for me to go back and like replayability. It's definitely the album I go back to. Not that like Damn has some great tracks, even Mr. Morale and the Big Stabbers, but the less one. But like if I want like 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks that I know I can count on, or like even put on like I said, like number 3 through 8 and just let it roll for 5 or 6 songs, I don't think there's any like that come close to Good Kid, Mad City, man.
Wow, there's not. Yeah. And like I said, me and Vicky, yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say like. And not that it means anything, but I was going to say it's very rare that I can listen to an album. I can count on my probably one hand, maybe 2, how many albums I can actually sit through and not hit skip, but this is one of them. So it's whatever that means, more power to Kendrick Lamar. He's got my attention with that album. Like, beautiful album. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. And such a strong and necessary voice. You know what I mean? I think
Fable.
I think sometimes he almost gets like, almost gets bogged down by the weight, the responsibility that he feels sometimes. I feel like as one of like the only guys out here who's really carrying the torch on some of the most important issues that face us. Not only us as a people as a whole, but black folks and black culture. I think I don't know. So I hope his voice continues to stay strong and clear, and that people continue to give him the time of day and support him because he's one of the
absolutely
best. Let me go to chat real quick. Fable said, every great hip hop album has a great executive producer behind it. Facts, Fable. Facts. Like Dr. Dre. I mean, who else do you want curating your stuff besides Dr. Dre? I mean, that's probably why Drake has lasted so long, having dealt with 40 most of his career. Correct. Yeah. Like the fact that it's him and his childhood buddy making music just like they were back in the day, I think has and the ability to insulate yourself in that and trust in who you're working with, because you need an ear like that as a musician. You need somebody who can be objective and tell you if something is whack or tell you if something needs and some of these guys don't want to hear that. Some of these guys don't have the emotional maturity to have those type of people around. And I think Kendrick really has mastered it now to where, it was some of these outside folks initially, but I think now he's at the point where he doesn't, I don't know, he's hypercritical enough and on his own island where,
very conscious, right? And I know that's a cheap word to use, but he's very conscious of what he's very aware of his capability and, and then what he's doing. So he doesn't need that, that I was going to say, I've always been curious with Drake. I know I like Drake, I know a lot of people don't like Drake, but I enjoy Drake. But I've always been curious. I think 40 is a big hand in crafting Drake's success over the years. And I think like when you think of Drake, it's Drake and 40. Like I'm always curious because, I don't know if 40 has MS.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But he's got, you know, he's got money, so he's probably not going anywhere no time soon. But I was always curious, like, if Drake always said if 40 passed, he would stop making music, and I get that as a friend thing, but I almost feel it's like because 40's had such a hand in crafting Drake's flow, his sound over the years, helping Drake make the right decisions, that Drake wouldn't trust himself to be Drake, you know, the Drake that we know without 40's ear behind him, you know, like 40's solid producer, bro, you know. I think because he's still on top of Drake, but he's one of my favorite producers. You know, I'd say that, 'cause just based off the strength of where he's helped Drake get. You know, like Fable said, great producers. You can go.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, what we're not going to do though is hijack this Kendrick conversation and turn it into a Drake love fest, bro. Like, let's pump the brakes. Hold on, Hotline Bling.
No, I was tying into how.
I'm just fucking with you, bro. Bro, I agree with you. I think that speaks to Kendrick's capacity as an artist, that he doesn't.
Yes.
He's been tenaciously himself and has continued to grow and dominate without, you know.
Big.
I think he leans on his wife and his family and like the people close to him the same way that Drake leans on 40. People said they should kill him.
Fable's been having zingers these last few weeks, bro. Y'all turned into a Drake fest up in here. It's all good. No, I really was tying. I know I kind of turned into a Drake love fest, but I was tying it back into like the whole like Kendrick doesn't need that producer with him to spirit. Like Kendrick's his own 40. No. Not to take away from Drake, you know, but I'm offended.
Dude, it's a very valid point. I see what I'm just fucking with. All right, let's put it this way. Who do you see? To me, this whole Drake continuing to like him and the pictures of him in the club kissing on Sexy Red and all that stuff are starting to get a little tired. Bro, you old. Let's pump the brakes. Why don't you be like Kendrick? Get you a nice. Why don't you settle down and get you a house in the hills somewhere and just shut it down, bro. That's what I'm saying. I think culturally moving forward, I'm looking to Kendrick to continue tipping the scales, and Drake is just gonna conform. Drake's great, man. Yeah. But Drake makes music for Friday night. Kendrick makes music for Sunday afternoon. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes, Fable, Sexy Red. He was kissing up on Sexy Red, looking, bruh.
He called her
white. Get your boy. Yeah, it's on Instagram.
Yeah, I can't stand, hey.
Get your boy.
I don't even support that. Yeah. Sexy Red, bro.
And he had the cornrows with the headband and the tinted glasses on, too. My man was looking like
the tattoo he got.
The Shaggy Redux or something. Yeah, he's wilding. That's his MO. Don't let Pusha T come back around. Don't let Virginia get his hands back on him again. We already know what happens when Virginia comes calling. Shut that man down. All right. This was fun. All right. So, career since that album's obviously been skyrocket. So I can't wait to see what that man does. Shout out to Kendrick, man. One of the best people doing it. Dude, I'm always hyped to hear from him. I guess it'll be probably another five years before we get another album.
But they're worth it. It's worth it. He's worth it. Sometimes I know Drake took recently saying I think he was alluding to Kendrick. I'm not like these other artists that take 4 or 5 years. Well, maybe you should be one of those artists, Drake. Maybe you should be. Bro, your last few albums. I was looking at his discography too, and I was like, man, like a new album. At least, or being on an album for like the last 5 to 6 years every year, and he's kept his name in the game, but he's also diluted the strength of his brand by doing so, so maybe you should be an artist who comes out with an album every couple years and not every year.
I know,
but
there's some dudes in Drake's camp looking at each other like, who's going to talk to him? Are you going to talk to him?
You're like, no, that was me last time, brother.
Anyway, all right. So, real quick, comics from that point in time. All right.
No, let's get to that one. Let's do low. What's the low end?
In theory, I was gonna do that after, but we can do it before. It's all good. All right, no, you're
My
good.
bad.
'Cause it ties in. No, you're good. Low in theory. All right, so Kendrick songs. I got a Marvel villain and a DC villain. We got Thanos and Two-Face. So what Kendrick Lamar song is Thanos listening to, and what Kendrick Lamar song is Two-Face listening to? Any
I
song.
think
Doesn't have to be Good Kid, Mad City. Any song. What's in their headphones, folks?
Thanos is listening to Mad City, and I feel like Two-Face is listening to Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe.
Ooh, okay. See, I thought Two-Face would be listening to Good Kid, Mad City because it's like a two-part song. You know how the beat switches up in the half? And then I thought Thanos, just sticking with the album thing, I thought Thanos would be on the backseat freestyle, like, I pray my dick get big as the Eiffel Tower, so I can fuck the world for 72 hours. That sounds like some shit Thanos would say. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll go. I like this is better.
So,
that's a good one.
Yeah. That's where I was coming from. Yeah. Any of y'all in the chat, you got any Kendrick songs that would Thanos or Two-Face would be listening to? Hit us up. Let us know, man. We'll shout y'all out. All right. End of the show, brother. Comics for next week. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Comics from 2012. So from Kendrick's, from the Good Kid, Mad City era, we had this legendary run starting.
Oh, bringing us
Matt Fraction's Hawkeye started in 2012.
Okay.
Okay. This was the time also for the New 52 DC reboot. So we had this classic Batman story. That's really all I got. But yeah, I just think New 52. So a good time, rebirth-wise. Some good things happen in comics.
Yeah. No, yeah, the early 2010s was an exciting time. You had Marvel Now just kicking off, like that was almost like Marvel's response to DC's New 52, where they were just trying to shake things up. So, DC was about a year into New 52, so everything was still fresh. Yeah, that was a good time. But I got a comic, it actually came out October, the same month as Good Kid, Mad City, and it is the first. I just know I've had it, but I had to write it because I was like, oh, it's a key. It's
you got one?
But it's the first somewhat cover Chavez. You see it right there in the corner. That's what it's billed as. But I picked it because it's got a nice little 8-page story from one of our favorites you just mentioned. We got an 8-page Ant-Man story by Matt Fraction and Mike Allred. And you know what? 8-page story, but you want to know what the last page was? I thought was really cool, and I thought of you. And I know you'll appreciate this. It's just because we both love Fraction. I know you love certain things.
Hit me.
Where is it?
Oh, dude, no way. Hell
yeah. Doom.
That's
Doom.
Awesome, dude. What a great page. I would love to have that, like, those inks, right? Or the black and white, like the original art on that. That's a great page.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
thanks for sharing, dude. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. I didn't know you had a back issue banger in the cut, my guy. Nice.
I'll try to surprise you when I can. I was lucky with that one. It just all lined up, and I was like, you know what, this will kind of fit. And lucky idiots even, because I was going to highlight the Fraction story in particular. I could care less about the Chavez cover thing, but I'm glad you picked Hawkeye because so that ties. So it was meant to be.
Nice, yeah, divine providence and all that for sure. All right. So comics for next week that I'm excited about. Sticking on the Remender vibe, or the favorite writer vibe. Remender has a new series out that's supposed to be, I think, is Robbie's pick of the week, The Sacrificers. Dude, we got to check it out. Yeah, man, it was Robbie's pick of the week. We got to check it out, brother. So get your hands on that. What other books? Sins of the Salton Sea, that Ed Brisson story has issue 3 out this week. I'm very excited for that. Doctor Strange #6. I think it's going to be good. Jed McKay. What else am I forgetting? I'm forgetting the other book I wanted to talk about.
X-Men. I want to get caught up with X-Men. I'm curious to see what this issue of X-Men.
Yeah, right. Aren't they continuing the story in Astonishing Iceman #1 or something?
Or no, I think there's X-Men 25 coming out and Astonishing Iceman
Okay.
too. So I'm curious
Okay.
if those still out from.
Yeah, for sure. 'Cause
So
I
those,
definitely want to see what. That's fucked up that they're gonna make me buy an extra comic, but I gotta see what happens to Bobby, dude. Because he was talking to shit. I was like, oh shit, like I'm feeling Iceman, because he was kind of just like a background player for me growing up. So it's kind of cool to see him like glow up. But I don't know. But yeah, man, I don't know. Always more comics to read. We'll see what happens. I can't think of the other title I wanted to talk about off the top of my head, and I don't feel like looking it up. But I'll let you say your goodbyes. Anything you want to leave the people with heading into next week?
take care of yourselves and each other. Much love.
I love it. I just want to tell everybody to, be a little patient, a little extra patient with each other, whether it be family members, in traffic, in line at the grocery store. Just try to find an extra breath
Take a
or
second.
two. Yeah, take a second, man, because that really, you go out into the world these days and you feel the stress of the world upon you, whether it be in a car or at the grocery store or whatever. Let's just try to like break that cycle a little bit. And like Fable always says, be excellent to each other. Try to spread those good vibes. Also, guys, get outside, get some exercise, read a book, all that good stuff. And I just want to thank everybody for coming through again tonight. Building this thing slowly and surely, but I really appreciate y'all's support. Everybody and the PCP Army Bad Batch who accepted your boy in this week. Man, it's been a crazy week. I got into PCP and I hit 1K on Instagram all in the same week. Been beautiful. Shout out to you, Lynk. Shout out to Joe for nominating me. Shout out to Fable for all he did getting me in.
Perfect match.
Shout out to Eric, Sal, everybody who always comes through every week, supports me. Love y'all, man. I'll see y'all next week. Peace, guys.